Hello out there, wonderful world of the strange internet. As you can see, I am your bearded brother, Matt.
I'm Chris, and I have a bird.
Say hi to Loki again, everybody, who is being very needy today.
He has been.
But that's okay, we love him anyway. Welcome back to yet another sports podcast. We are here to attempt to entertain you and explain what has happened in, at the very least, the world of the NFL and potentially some hockey. Um, I don't know much else beyond that. There is one small breaking piece of NBA news that I think we should talk about. There have been a couple of trades, but I don't really care. I'm sorry, hoop heads. They didn't bing my radar enough to make me go, oh, that's a big deal.
We should talk about that.
Yeah. The only one that we should talk about, and let's just get it out of the way first, is the Bucks fired their first-year head coach after he went 30-13.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, I'm confused.
It's got to be more than a performance thing. There must be something behind the scenes that's
that
caused some type of rift.
that would be my guess. I honestly couldn't tell you. I
mean, nothing else would make logical sense in my brain.
I mean, the big deal, I guess, if you really look at it from a point of perspective of like analytical numbers, they are not good this year. For example, last year they were fourth in defensive efficiency. They had third points per direct pick and second points per drive. This season, they are 22nd in defensive efficiency, 24th in points per direct pick, and 20th in points per direct drive. So analytically, the numbers have slid rather precipitously. And I guess ownership felt like the Bucks were just winning games because of star power rather than winning games because they should win games. So I suppose that's where it makes the most sense. Outside of that, the closest other news that we have, NFL-wise, because I don't know if we 100% talked about it, the big one is that the Titans have got a deal in principle at the very minimum right now for their next head coach.
Right. I'm not sure how much I believe that, but...
You okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just noticed that there was some shit on my camera. Not like on the camera, but like around the edge of the lens. And so I was looking at the cap of the camera to see if there's junk on it, and there is, so I'm cleaning it off. So
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm paying attention.
It's fine. I understand. I get that one
I'm
too.
being obsessive compulsive with certain things.
I 100% do the same. I 100% do the same thing. You know, that's a conversation we could honestly have on this pod, is about weird little things that we get OCD about, where it's like all of a sudden our attention gets utterly diverted from whatever it is we're supposed to be doing into doing something really weird and goofy.
Pretty much.
You know, and
I don't even know how all this junk got on here.
Yeah, no, I feel the same about certain things. Yeah, but yeah, supposedly they have a deal in principle to hire the Bengals OC, offensive coordinator. I don't know how much of that I believe. Supposedly there's also a deal in principle for the Falcons to hire Bill Belichick. I kind of believe that one.
I kind of do, but then I've been hearing that they've been taking on second interviews for a lot of other people, which is weird.
And then I also have Nick Sirianni fired the demoted defensive coordinator.
Which, that's shocking.
Not really shocking at all, I don't think, to anybody who's had their finger on the pulse.
That's why I was being facetious about it.
And Bill O'Brien, I believe, is now the new head coach of Ohio State University.
I don't know if that's confirmed yet. Is it confirmed?
I thought it was confirmed. As far as I knew, he had they'd introduced him.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I didn't hear about that part. I heard that it was likely going to happen. I didn't hear that it was confirmed yet.
Well, at any rate, those have been some of the major pieces of news that have happened. Outside of that, it's really kind of all quiet on the front. Debo Samuel doesn't have a broken shoulder or a seriously injured shoulder, so that's good if you're a Niners fan, because that looked like it could be a problem.
Oh yeah.
Thankfully, it wound up not being, but then there were four. Let's talk about the previous week?
We can. I did want to address that.
Go ahead.
Um, there's been obviously a lot of rumors around the NFL for a lot of different things going on because it's that time of year when that shit starts to happen, and it's only
Yep.
going to get more and more amplified until we get to the draft. And there's one thing I do want to address is the amount of people who have been bringing up that there are quote-unquote rumors of JJ being traded, and I don't know why the fuck this has happened. I don't know why this has started. It's not going to happen. I don't know who in their right mind as a journalist would ever write anything related to that, thinking that that's going to happen. One, I don't care what rumors you're hearing or where you're hearing them from, but that would be the most ridiculous thing ever. And if it does happen, fire fucking everybody. Like that'd be the dumbest thing ever. I don't care. There is no reason to trade your star wide receiver, especially if you're trying to bring in a new QB. You want somebody that he can throw to. Like you would never ever trade your star QB, star running wide receiver. Sorry, especially before he gets his first big contract with you guys. Like that would be just stupid.
I 100% agree with you. I think where it's coming from is the last time we were about to have negotiations with a wide receiver that may have been contentious, we traded him to Buffalo and brought in JJ with the pick.
Yeah, but that was because remember
that receiver
when that
wanted
happened,
out, and he made a lot of noise about it.
And he made a lot of noise, yeah, and he was not quiet about the fact that he didn't like things here. There's been no talks of JJ having any issues with anybody here.
No. In fact, the rumor I saw today was that we should expect a new contract on JJ, an extension pretty soon.
Yeah. So, but I just don't know why there's any rumor of him being traded
the
out.
big rumor that I
stupid.
saw that I don't understand and it makes no sense on is that if Derrick Henry winds up leaving the Titans, Minnesota's going to sign him.
I mean, we do need a better running back. I think that would be a terrible pick to have Derrick Henry and Ty Chandler back together.
My question there would be,
depends on
what's
how the contract would work out.
What's the money? Because I wouldn't want to give him too big a deal. Because
give him a
the biggest problem that I think
like that,
and this is something that I actually was thinking of. I think there are certain running backs who missed a window. The time to sign big money contracts for running backs was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh yeah.
That would have been the time to sign big deals. Now you're not going to get as much even out on the open market.
Yeah.
Teams just don't value them as much as they did. And now if you also have the idea that a lot of the big name ones have been injured, they've been hurt, they've been beat up, and or they've disappeared. Like, look at Henry. Henry's had some games this year where he was an absolute stallion.
Yep.
And then he'd disappear the next game and have like 29 yards on 11 carries or something. There haven't been many backs outside of like Christian McCaffrey, who did I lose? Oh, there we go.
Nope, you're good.
Achane. Even Mostert a little bit. They've been consistent. They've been good.
Singletary surprisingly had been mostly consistent this
Singletary's been decently consistent this year. Yeah. I mean, I will even give it, even though he's been injured a lot, I'll give it to what's his name out of the Giants? Barkley.
Saquon.
Yep. Saquon, yeah. Pacheco really came on good this year. But
Gus Edwards has done okay for the Ravens, but he hasn't been needed to do a lot.
no, and I mean, even James Cook is starting to find his stride. And I think once he was
Too little,
back
too late in this case, but yeah.
once he was back into the swing of things, JT looked pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But overall, there just aren't that many backs that are fantastic that are worth signing long term right now.
Yeah.
And I think the value of the position is decreasing quite a bit. Now, what's going to happen? A lot of these guys are going to eventually go away, retire, get injured out, and there's going to be a dearth of no. There's going to be like a loss of running backs across the board, and then you're going to find that one or two guys who are Barry Sanders or Adrian Peterson or Emmett Smith, and then those are going to be sought after draft picks, and running back importance and value will shoot back up. It happens with just about every position where you go through cycles where you either have too many guys or not enough production from some of the guys that you have, or too many injuries or whatever else, and then somebody comes up with a wrinkle and suddenly that position shoots back up in importance again. So I'm not saying that running backs are done in the NFL. You'll never see that.
No.
But what they're valued for and what people want them to do has shifted. You are seeing a lot more wanting, just like quarterbacks had to go through this morph where they're not just pocket passers.
Pocket passers, yeah.
You're now
running backs will become more receiving backs.
Yep.
Where they have to be able to not just run the ball, but run a route and also catch the ball.
Yep, 100%, and that's what you're going to start.
Obviously, the best example you got right now is Bijan. Like he's just
Bijan, McCaffrey,
of an actual McCaffrey. Yep, they're definitions of I can run the ball, but I can equally run it in an actual good route and get the ball down.
Yeah, not just a simple out this way, come back in, but an actual like hitch route or something like that. Yeah. You're going to start seeing a lot more backs being asked to line up at wide receiver, being asked to come out of the backfield and run a fly route or run across. And the better you can do that and they can find you with the ball, then the more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
good.
I think what you're going to wind up seeing is larger wide receivers who would have been converted to tight end, or potentially, guys like Terrell Owens, because everybody wanted him as a tight end, and then he became a wide receiver and wound up being really good at it. But what if you could have converted him to like a running back type of player? Somebody, in the backfield who could have found that hole, because he was a big dude,
Yeah.
So now you've got a running back who can catch and run the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what you're going to start seeing, is that certain people are going to be started converted to running back wide receivers. You'll see larger wide receivers who are just a little too slow to be good wide receivers, but they'd be pretty good running the ball. You're going to start seeing that conversion start to happen, I think, a little bit. So
Probably.
Alrighty. But yeah, I agree with you totally on JJ. I don't think there's a chance in hell we trade him. We'd have to get some ridiculous, like, 3 first-round picks type of deal, if not more, and I still don't think it would be enough.
No. And like I said, if that ever happened, I mean, just fire fucking everybody.
I mean, it would have to be a ridiculously good deal for me to even consider not wanting to fire everybody involved in that.
Yeah.
All right. But I think it's time. I think it's time to talk about the divisional round, don't you?
Sure, why not?
All right. The first game that there was the Texans and the Ravens. I believe you had that game, didn't you?
I did cover that one. Texans did, in fact, lose that game 10-34. And it was close at halftime, because halftime it was 10-10.
It was 10-10.
And then the Ravens decided, all right, we've had enough playing around. Time to put the foot on the gas.
It's like Lamar came out and was like, okay, I'm done toying with you people.
Yeah. That's kind of how it felt, and the stat lines really show it, because I only have 4 people to talk about in the stats for Texans, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people to talk about on the Ravens. So, unfortunately, the Texans just had a lot of issues, so let's just go over the stats and then we'll talk about it. So, CJ Stroud went 19 of 33 for 175 yards. That's it. That's all he got. Devin Singletary, 9 attempts for 22 yards, which isn't great, but he did have 5 receptions for 48 yards. Then you had Nico Collins, who had 5 receptions for 68 yards. And you had Dalton Schultz for 5 receptions for 43 yards. That was it.
That was
That's
it.
all they had.
That's it.
In fact, the touchdown that they did have came off their defense. So,
Yep.
unfortunately, Texans offense just couldn't really get much moving. And as you're going to see, the Texans defense really didn't do much in the second half either. They did okay in the first half, but that second half was abysmal. Lamar Jackson only threw 16 of 22 for 152 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 rushing attempts for 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson doing Lamar Jackson things. Justice Hill had 13 attempts for 66 yards, 2 receptions for 11. Gus Edwards had 10 attempts for 40 yards. Dalvin Cook had 8 attempts for 23 yards. Zay Flowers had 4 receptions for 41 yards. Rashad Bateman had 3 receptions for 39 yards. Isaiah Likely had 2 receptions for 34 yards and a touchdown. And Nelson Aguilar had 2 receptions for 12 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
All right.
Breathe.
Breathe time. So this was definitely the case of the Texans had no answer for Lamar Jackson. He kind of did what he wanted, and they kind of let him do what he wanted. And that's kind of what happened. And they just kind of ran the ball a lot more. I mean, look at that. I mean, we had Lamar had 100 yards rushing, Justice had 66 yards rushing, Gus Edwards had 40 yards rushing, Dalvin had 23 yards rushing. Like, they had more yards rushing than anything, and the Texans just could not stop that run game for the life of them at all. And yeah, I mean, Texans offense didn't show up. Texans defense only showed up for a half. Like, it was kind of sad to watch, because at first you were like, okay, maybe the Texans defense can hold them up a little bit and maybe give the offense time to start cooking. But that offense never got it going. That defense got too tired in the second half, and it just kind of all started to fall to the Ravens. So yeah.
That is more or less pretty accurate. So here's then, because so we both picked the Texans to win that game.
Yeah.
Obviously that didn't come to
didn't pan out.
fruition. All right. So we're going to talk now about the next game, which was Green Bay at San Francisco. We both picked San Francisco. We were both correct.
Barely.
San Francisco does win. They need a comeback to do it, but they win 24-21. Green Bay should have won this game.
There were how they were playing, yeah.
There were multiple miscues by Green Bay that cost them this game. None bigger than were committed by Devondre Campbell and Darnell Savage. Each of them had a beautiful pass put directly into their hands and dropped it like it was hot.
True.
Oh, and one of them, I think it was Savage early on, nothing but green in front of him. That dude, that's a 6. That's a pick 6 right there.
True.
Oh, they also did block a kick. They blocked a field goal. Let's talk about it. Jordan Love, 21 of 34, 194, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He also ran 5 times for 3 yards. So they did not sack him. I will point out that
they were putting pressure on him.
They were putting a lot of pressure on him, and that game was a sloppy mess. There was rain coming down, and it was clearly hard to grip the ball. Purdy started the game with a glove on, took it off, put it back on, took it off. It's one of those things of like you just couldn't figure out a good way to grip the ball. I will say that the biggest problem that the Niners had was they had no answer for Aaron Jones. 18 carries, 108 yards, and he broke off a 53-yarder on him. I mean, and Jordan Love looked really good. Dobbs, 4 receptions, 83 yards. Reed, 4 for 35. Bo Melton, 1 for 19 and a touchdown. Tucker Kraft, 3 for 9 and a touchdown. Luke Musgrave, 3 for 14. There were obvious problems hanging onto the ball, but Green Bay did not lose any of their fumbles. Love and Nixon both fumbled, and Jones and Wilson. By the way, Keeson Nixon coming down the field on that return, fumbling the football on like the 20 after this huge long return, and having Eric Wilson recover it was nothing more than the football gods smiling on the Packers.
Oh yeah.
They did manage a sack of Brock Purdy, but they did not pick him off, even though they should have. And they did miss a field goal near the end of the game. Anders Carlson missed one that honestly would have allowed them to at least have the game tied. But the Niners' Brock Purdy didn't look great until the final drive. His total stats, 23 of 39, 252 and a touchdown, 1 sack for 7 yards. On the final drive, he was 6 of 7. And the only reason that he was only 6 of 7 was George Kittle dropped a pass that was in his hands. Purdy didn't look Purdy until that drive that put them up. McCaffrey, 17 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, just doing run CMC things. Everybody knows what's going to happen when he gets the ball. Purdy did take off 6 times for 14 yards. They did try a little trickery with Juwan Jennings, but that didn't work out for them. Kittle, 4 for 81 yards and a touchdown. Juwan Jennings, 5 catches, 61 yards. Ayuk, 4 catches, 32 yards. McCaffrey, 7 catches for only 30 yards. Debo, 2 for 24. Now, Dre Greenlaw picked Jordan Love twice. And the second one ended the game.
Yep.
Love rolled out, looked, chunked one up, and everybody went, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Yep.
Everybody and their cousin knew what was coming next, and it didn't look good. And Jake Moody, 1 of 2, because he did have the one that was blocked. So, yeah, this was a sloppy game. Green Bay vastly, for I would say 90% of this game, outplayed the Niners. The Niners did not bring their A game until the very end of the game. They brought just enough game to hang around, and then they ended up stealing the victory at the end. They should not have won that game. Green Bay lost that game more than the Niners won it.
I mean, I would disagree. I think the 49ers played well enough to be winners of that game because, in fact, they picked Jordan Love twice. Their defense is what really kept them in. Their offense had some issues, but their defense is what allowed them to stay in the game.
Their defense is what allowed them to stay in the game. And I think if Green Bay gets those 2 picks that they dropped, they win that game.
Possibly. Again, hard to say exactly, but it's hard to know for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to know for sure, but it's also hard to say that that isn't true. Okay. Let's talk about your next game, because you had the late game. We'll talk about the late game, and then we'll talk about the early game. How does that sound?
You want to do it the backward? Okay, fair enough.
Let's just that way we're flip-flop talking
why
about
not?
things. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. So Chiefs played the Bills. Chiefs won against the Bills at Bills home 27-24. Man, I hate everything about this game, but let's talk about it.
Well, should we also talk about our picks?
I mean, no. Let's not do that.
Yeah, because you picked the Bills.
They should have won.
I picked the Chiefs. I agree with you. I picked the Chiefs, though. I do get this ding.
So there was definitely some issues. There were certain individuals that didn't show up, and there were certain individuals that should have performed better than they did. So let's start with the Chiefs. We'll look at Mahomes because Mahomes doing what Mahomes does. 17 of 23, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 rushing attempts for 19 yards. It's Mahomes. What do you expect? Then the Bills, kryptonite, because apparently they just couldn't figure out how to stop the fucking run. Isaiah Pacheco had 15 rushing attempts for 97 yards and a touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had only 2 touches for 31 yards. Travis Kelce, 5 receptions for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. MVS had 2 receptions for 62 yards, and Rashee Rice had 4 receptions for 47 yards. So, yeah, Mahomes just kind of was able to do what he wanted. Pacheco was able to kind of do what he wanted. I mean, even Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who we haven't heard from a lot this year, was able to get off a couple good runs. So, unfortunately, the Bills' defense just couldn't do much to stop the Chiefs' offense, especially on the running game. But that isn't to say that the Bills were completely inept because their offense was cooking, just not as well as you'd want them to. So Josh Allen, 26 of 39, 186 yards, 1 touchdown. Then he had 12 rushing attempts for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. James Cook had 18 attempts for 61 yards, 4 receptions for 21 yards. Ty Johnson had 7 attempts for 40 yards and 1 reception for 14 yards. Dalton Kincaid had 5 receptions for 45 yards. Khalil Shakir had 7 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown. Latavius Murray had 3 receptions for 27 yards, and Stephon Diggs had 3 receptions for 21 yards. So Josh Allen was doing everything he could to win that game. Unfortunately, things didn't turn out that way, and we do have to bring up, obviously, that they had a chance to tie up the game, push the game into OT, and Tyler Bass kicks it wide right. Really wide right. Like, it wasn't even close wide right. And, yeah, that was problematic, to say the least. He had been looking rough already. Like, he barely skimmed the other field goal through earlier in the game. And this one was just abysmal. It's one of those things where you, in hindsight, obviously, you're like, well, we should just go for it on fourth down. But they couldn't have known that. They were hoping to tie up the game to try to push it into OT. And then I think things might have been different there. But we just don't know now. We never will know now. And unfortunately, the Chiefs
I will say
steal
that
one from the Bills, basically.
a couple of plays before that, Allen took a shot way downfield because he took a shot back to back. And the
Yes.
first time he took a shot downfield, he had Diggs open underneath.
Oh, yeah.
Wide
Diggs
open.
just couldn't catch the fucking ball.
But he
Right
didn't
into
even
his
try
fucking
to.
hands.
No, he didn't
No,
throw it to him.
There was
This-
one where there
was one of those,
like
but then right at the
yeah.
end of the game, Diggs was wide open underneath, and instead Allen pushed it downfield, and it was incomplete. And then the second time he pushed it downfield, they bumped into him as he was throwing, and it caused him to sail it out the back of the end zone. But, dude, if you catch Diggs underneath, that's a first down.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, Diggs
No
already
guarantee
failed to
Diggs
catch-
is going to catch it, considering the way he
I
was
was gonna
playing.
say he already dropped 2 passes prior to that somehow. Like, that's one thing I do want to talk about is Diggs has been absent for the last half of this fucking year for the Bills. And it's just evident that I don't know if it's play calling or if there's something wrong with Diggs, if he's injured and they haven't been saying something, but like something's up between Allen and Diggs where they're just not connecting anymore, and I don't know why.
Well, and if you look at it, it's not that he's not getting a volume of targets. I think he had 8 targets this game.
Yeah.
And he only caught like 3 of them?
3 of them, yeah.
It's just dumb. Like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you? Are you hurt? Are your hands hurt? Are you off? What's your rhythm off? Did you insult Josh and suddenly there's this weird tension here? I don't know what's going on.
But something feels wrong for sure. And so that was obviously hugely problematic because, you look at the rest of the stats and you're like, okay, they had good players. They were playing well, but for some reason their deep threat guy wasn't being a deep threat guy. And that's what's been hindering the Bills for the last half of this season in general is that they haven't had a deep threat guy.
I
Like,
think they're
Diggs was supposed to be,
definitely
but-
looking wide receiver in the draft.
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%.
Diggs,
Like Shakir is good,
but he's not a
but
deep threat guy.
he's not a real
He's-
deep threat guy. He's
He's a good slot.
Yeah.
And Kincaid is obviously a great tight end for him.
Yeah. The thing is, they're going to be looking wide receiver, and there's plenty of those.
Oh,
available.
there's quite a few.
Yeah. So they'll be able to find a good deep threat guy in the draft.
But I think Chiefs kind of stole one away. I think this was definitely the Bills to win, and I think they just made too many mistakes. Yeah, we can talk about the refs. there was definitely some plays that weren't great, but they kind of affected both sides, so it wasn't really, they kind of almost, in a weird way, this is one of those games where both sides had bad calls go for them and against them, and you could argue that they are basically canceling each other out.
And
Like,
we saw the dreaded fumble out of the end zone again.
we did, but then the Bills did nothing with the ball, so
They
it didn't really
didn't,
matter.
so it didn't matter. Exactly. I was like, what the.
But I promise you that people were pissed off about it, and we've been talking about that one forever. That thing's going to definitely change this year. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I think after this year's done, they're absolutely every party involved is like, yeah, this is dumb. Now, what they replace it with, that one has always been an argument. Does it go back to the 20 for the other team? Well, what if they were already on the 1 yard line? Well, then they lose 19 yards. Is that fair? I don't know. Maybe you fumbled it, right? Maybe you get punished for fumbling the ball. I don't know. It's one of those things where like the argument on to what happens if that does actually happen is still up for debate, obviously. But I'm sure they'll figure out something. But it won't be a turnover because that's just silly.
Yeah. There should be some kind of punishment, but a turnover is too big of one. Like dropping you back to the 20 would be fair.
That's what I was arguing, but then our dad tried to bring up how that isn't fair because what if in a weird scenario you fumble the ball at like the 25 and then all of a sudden it gets kicked out of the bounds and all of a sudden you move up 5 yards? It's like, well,
there's already a penalty for that. If you kick the ball, there's actually a kicked ball penalty.
Well, I meant it like accidentally, like you didn't purposely kick the ball. Like
you'd have to kick it accidentally pretty hard, and the football's an oblong.
Well, I mean, like if there's what I'm meaning is that like if enough people keep trying to pick it up and then kick it, or like it gets squirted around, like we've seen that before where it can squirt 15, 20 yards. It has happened. It's pretty rare, obviously, but it can happen. I don't know. I think absolutely there should be a penalty. Pushing it back to the 20 makes sense, or maybe if you're on the 1 yard line, maybe it's like I don't know, maybe like a 10-yard penalty, but I don't know if they want to make that a penalty either because that's not really what that is. I don't know. I'm sure they'll think of something that will work, but
yeah,
as is not good.
All right. Anything else for that game?
Outside of why the fuck do we keep having cameras on fucking Taylor Swift? I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Can we stop with this? Fucking hell. She gets more airtime than the fucking owners. Like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but who wants to look at the owners? They're not nice to look at.
No, but neither is Swift.
I don't think she's bad looking.
Listen, when I'm watching football, I don't want to watch Taylor Swift.
Let's be honest. The one thing that I did enjoy about them having cameras up on her was when they caught Jason leaning out the window shirtless.
That was funny. That was more funny than anything else.
That was amazing.
Okay, if we're gonna argue that it's about looks, then the players' wives never get showed off. We know that they're good lookers. Like
sometimes.
Most of them are actually,
yeah.
Especially if you're the QB.
Oh yeah. Also, I will say that Gazelle got showed off a lot.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, but yeah, it's also because she's immensely popular with a specific demographic. I get all of that.
But it's football. Like how many? Whatever.
We'll see. You know what? There's a part of me that hopes that, and I hate to say it, have both the Kelseys retire, have have Travis go off and be T Swifts. You could be the TKs.
Oh God.
Taylor and Travis Kelce.
I don't think Travis plans on retiring, and I don't think Taylor will ever get married. And if she does, she will not replace her last name.
I could see her hyphenating it though.
Maybe, but she's definitely not getting rid of her last name.
No, sure. I could see her being instead.
She's made all that money on that name,
TSK, Taylor Swift Kelce. No, but you could still have the stage name of Taylor Swift.
I know, but a lot of people still won't do that.
I know.
Like, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm more skeptical on that. I just feel like she isn't the type that's going to get married, but if she does, I don't think she would ever replace her name.
Well, I think part of that is also because so many of the people she's dated, you're like, even if you're famous, like, and Travis has talked about it, you don't understand the level of paparazzi that follow her.
Oh yeah,
everywhere.
Exactly.
Like, no matter how famous you are, They are there, and it's so hard for certain people because you
Well, it's
never
hard to have a normal
privacy.
life.
Yeah, you'll never have
Yeah.
a normal life. So, unless she retires and fades into the background,
Which, even if she does retire, I don't think she would be able to ever
no, I don't think she'd ever be
really
able to have
fade.
yeah.
Yeah.
And part of it is also because, did you hear she's planning to re-record her old discography now?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
I love it. You know why she's doing it, right?
Just because she wants to.
No, no, because she doesn't have access to it. It's not hers.
Oh, yeah.
Scooter Braun.
That makes some. Yeah, that makes.
So now she's trying to re-record it as material, update it, and re-record it, just so that she can have access to it. And there's nothing Scooter Braun could do about it.
Yeah, but she would have to change enough of it to not be the same. Because remember,
Yeah.
if he owns that, she can't have the same tune or sound or even lyrics. So
It would depend on how long the work has been out and whether or not it could have entered public domain.
that work hasn't yet. Normally, that stuff typically is about 20 years most of the time, especially music. We'll see. She's not that old yet, so.
Very curious.
And sometimes you can even extend because some of that stuff like copyright doesn't really change. Like some of that stuff is like forever almost. Um, what you doing, bird? So I have a feeling that she can't use all of that old stuff. She'll have
It's
to
actually
change
coming
it
up on
enough.
it right now.
Well, we'll see if how long that sticks around for.
2006.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's several years from now, and that's not even to say that 20 years is what that copyright is. That could be.
I don't know
more
what
than
the
that. Who knows?
copyright is, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. She wants to do something to stick it to Scooter, and I don't blame her at all.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's more like just redoing songs, and then I guess you could just say you're reimagining the song completely. But then if the song is got a different tune and different lyrics, is it really the same song? Like I don't know.
We'll see.
I guess we'll see. But I don't really care one way or the other, to be completely honest, because I've never really enjoyed her music that much. Like, I don't hate it. I don't actively search it out either. So
I understand, and I was that way for a long time. There are some of her songs that I actually enjoy. She
I mean,
did one.
Yeah.
She did one a little while back that was softer with a little indie artist that I was like, oh, that's a good song.
Yeah. I mean,
So.
like I said, I don't hate her music. I just don't really.
Yeah,
prefer
I
either.
am.
Like,
I am by no means going to say I'm a Swiftie, but I don't absolutely detest it when it comes on. I won't turn it off. That type of thing.
No, there are some of there's. I should say that most of her songs I'll just be like, skip. But there are some songs where I'll be like, all right, well, it's catchy enough, and it's not, I don't hate it. I don't know.
Anyway, let's talk about the final game then. This was the earlier game. I did watch this one. I watched actually both of these because I thought we were going to game on Sunday, and then we wound up not gaming because we had a gentleman who went to IkiCon, and then we had another group that took a vacation.
Huh.
And nobody bothered to tell me what was going on, but that's okay. So we just took the weekend off, and we're gonna game next weekend. All right. So the final game of the week: Tampa at Detroit. You picked the Bucks. I picked the Lions. Lions win and are going to the NFC Championship 31-23.
It's pretty close. Yeah.
It was a closer game than you would expect.
We can also talk about the controversy at the very end if you want. Or we can wait until after stats to talk about that.
Well, let's get it out now. Let's get it out now.
Very end of the game, the Bucks had an opportunity to call a timeout and force the Lions to kick a field goal, which would have then forced the Bucks to have one more chance to move down the field and potentially tie up or even potentially win the game. However, they didn't use their timeout, and everyone's confused as to why. Granted, there was only like 30 seconds left on the clock, but as you and I both know, 30 seconds in football can last quite a long time depending on how you do things.
The last drive they had was, and I don't know how many timeouts they had left, which is the problem at this point. Was
They had one timeout.
a minute and 33 seconds.
Yeah, they had one.
And yeah,
timeout.
you could have probably used that timeout. They were at the Tampa Bay 28.
Yes, it would have been a field goal. Like I said, they forced them to do a field goal because they were on third down. They could have, within I think there was 30 seconds left. They were on third down. They could have used their last timeout to force the Lions to kick a field goal.
And maybe they miss it. But the thing is, and Bruce Arians.
Oh, they don't care about the missing. They just want the ball back to get an opportunity to push down the field.
Here's the thing, though. If the Lions kick that field goal, it doesn't matter. Because then they'd have been up 34-23. You can't, at 30 seconds, even if you score immediately, you'd have to get an onside kick and then score again. And
no, I know.
The percentages of it happening are just, I agree. I understand where Arians is coming from. Also, the fact that the section before ended with a bad interception.
It did. All I'm saying is that especially in playoffs, you should really play for everything and try your best. And this felt like they kind of gave up and rolled over a little bit.
I can see where that mentality comes from, but also at the same time, it's like, all right, so what happens? I either need to block it or I need them to miss it. Those would be the two things. And if I'm going for that, then those are the two things I'm looking for. I'm looking to either block the kick or to hope to force them to freak out enough to miss it. Because then I do still have a chance to tie this game. And, I see it both ways. But I do agree that was a little bit of rollover-ish from Bruce Arians. I honestly...
Well, it wasn't not Bruce Arians, from Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles, pardon. Todd Bowles.
Arians left last year.
Yeah, my bad. That was a little... I think Arians would have called the timeout.
Probably.
That was a little bit rollover-ish from Todd Bowles. But let's talk some stats, because you know what? Despite everything, there were still some good stats put up by the Buccaneers in this game. And we'll start with the boy Baker himself. Letting Baker bake. Baker Mayfield, 26 of 41, 349 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Also 2 interceptions. And he got sacked 4 times. So kind of what you expect with Baker, sadly. Which is some really good, some what are you thinking, and then some middling stuff.
Pretty much.
And that's kind of Baker. He's a gunslinger. That's kind of how he plays.
Oh, for sure.
Rachaad White, 9 carries, 55 yards. Chase Edmonds, 4 for 19. Baker Mayfield, 2 for 15. They never really got the ground game going.
No, it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't really great either.
Now, Mike Evans, 8 receptions on 12 targets for 147 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans was the man in this game for Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
Cade Otton, 5 catches on 8 targets for 65 yards and a touchdown. Chris Godwin, 4 catches on 8 targets for 40 yards. Rachaad White, couldn't get it going on the ground. 5 targets, 4 receptions, 36 yards, and a touchdown through the air. And sadly, Trey Palmer, who I expected to have a bigger section in this game because he's a fast dude, only 2 catches for 32 yards.
Yep.
Now, they did not pick off Goff, but they did sack him twice. Both Kalijah Cansey and Levante David got home. On the other side of the field, the Detroit Lions playing at home. Goff, 30 of 43, 287 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sacked twice for 10 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 carries, 74 yards and a touchdown. That dude was roasting. Just roasting. They didn't have answers for him. And Montgomery, 10 for 33. Not great, but they're using Montgomery now as a change of pace power guy. Goff, 6 for 6. The Sun God, 14 targets, Only 8 receptions, but they went for 77 yards and a touchdown, of course. Laporta, 11 targets, 9 catches, 65 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 targets, 4 catches, 40 yards. There's a symmetry there. I kind of like that. Jamison Williams, 4 targets, 2 catches. Josh Reynolds, 3 targets, 2 catches, 27 yards, and a touchdown. Look, there weren't a lot of people. Jared Goff was doing a good job. He also kept the ball away from being picked, which very key. The Lions won the turnover battle. Both C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Derek Barnes had the picks. The sacks were from Brian Branch, Afeyu Melifonwu. He got a sack and a half. Hudson got 1. Reeves-Maben got half a sack because he and Afwanwu got him together. Melifonwu. Love that guy's name, Melifonwu. That's going to be a dude, by the way, to watch out for years to come. He didn't play a lot his first couple of years because of injuries. He's gotten to play this whole season, and he's starting to find his stride. And I think next year he's going to be dangerous. This team looks like a dangerous, dangerous team. Yeah. Detroit wins 31-23. It was a closer game than you would expect based off the score, but Detroit still managed to find a way to grind that win out. I'm really looking forward to that upcoming game.
Yeah, we'll see. See how it goes.
But yeah, so if you are a Lions fan and you have been through, oh, by the way, I should point this out. Their center, I can't remember his name. Ragnow.
Yep.
Ragnow. He got rolled up on one point in the game, and everybody thought, oh, he's going to be out. Oh, that's bad. Was out for a couple of minutes, came back in. And then he got rolled into on a touchdown drive later on, and they asked him about it, and he said, look, I've been here through some really bad seasons, and now that we're good, I ain't coming out of this game. I mean, and then can you imagine being Aiden Hutchinson? Growing up in Detroit, playing football there, and then going to University of Michigan, playing at Ann Arbor, and now you're a Detroit Lion, and you were there, you saw the 0-18 season, or the 0-16 season happen?
Yeah.
Alright, well.
Bird.
Short section this week, because there were only 6 games. So, game balls?
Did you just say there were 6 games?
Were there more? 4 games. 6 games last week. Or 8 games last week, or something.
I was like, hold on there, bud.
Only 4 games this week. Game balls?
Sure. Do you want me to go, or you go, or?
I'll start.
Okay.
Obvious one first. Lamar. L-Jack.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
L-Jack,
he
game
was
ball.
the number 1 on my list, too. Mike Evans, game ball.
That's good. Josh Allen, in a losing effort, game ball. You really tried.
Yeah. Aaron Jones, game ball. Frankly, you did what you were supposed to do.
Jared
Still
Goff.
lost, unfortunately.
Jared Goff, game ball.
Fair enough. Christian McCaffrey. Why not? He'll get a game ball.
Alrighty. Showers. You can start this one.
Tyler Bass.
God damn it.
Go take a shower, bro.
He was the first person on my list, too. Now I gotta come up with another one. Stephon Diggs. Go take a shower, dude.
Fair enough. CJ Stroud. That was a little rough from you, man. And I don't necessarily blame it all on you, but you definitely didn't play as well as you probably could have, so shower.
Packers secondary. You dropped 2 interceptions. My guys, you can't be doing that. Hit the showers.
Jordan Love, you played pretty good for most of it, but man, those interceptions, especially the one at the very end, that's a killer, bro. Go hit the showers.
For the same reason, Baker Mayfield.
He was also on my list.
I feel so bad for you, dude, because you threw up almost 350 yards of passing, but that pick at the end killed any hope you had.
Yep.
Hit the showers. Inferno time. I'll start the Inferno.
Right.
With somebody who's barely in the Inferno, but he's in the Inferno because I think his seat for next year, I think he's got a short leash coming into next season. And that's Nick Sirianni. I don't think it's a mistake to keep him because last year he was in the Super Bowl. He didn't win it, but he was there with you guys. And if there was a lot more going on in that locker room and some stuff we didn't hear about that you kept a lid on and everything else was going wonderful, and just as an organization, you guys came together and made bad picks for your coordinators, you absolutely deserve to have a job. But you're not going to get too many second chances. So you're going to have to pull this together, and for that reason, you're in the second circle. You're a little warm, but your seat might heat up if you can't pull it together and figure out how to make it better for next season.
He wants scritches.
I noticed.
All right, that's fair. We'll go with my number one, Stephon Diggs, first circle. The last half of this season has been rough. You didn't show up for playoffs again. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what issues you guys are having, but like, you're supposed to be the guy, and you were the guy for a while, and now you're not the guy. And I just got questions of what's going on. You're only in the first circle, but man, like, it's worrisome. It's a worrisome thing.
I want to preface this next one, by saying, look, I get some of what, where people are coming from on everything with this. But I don't like the precedent it sets, and I don't like the message it sends from the organization. And that's why, Jerry Jones, you're in my third circle for keeping Mike McCarthy. Look, let me explain.
I mean, I've already told you my thoughts on this.
Yes.
I disagree with you wholeheartedly. So.
Yes, but let me explain.
Yeah.
Currently, you've got a guy who consistently wins in the regular season, gets you into the playoffs. As soon as you get there, and I would be more forgiving of this if it looked like it was a game. You didn't just get beat at home. You hadn't been beaten at home since week 1. You had been pretty dominant there all year. And then you got not just beaten, you got blown out until garbage time. And you couldn't do anything to fix it. Nothing. And bringing you back again is Jerry telling the fans that he is okay with not winning a championship. That he is okay with 12-win, 13-win, 14-win regular seasons to get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. And that's why I think there are fans out there in Dallas, and I hear them down here in Texas, and this is the difference. I live in Texas, so I get to hear this firsthand. There are sports writers, and there are fans that are justifiably angry about this. Now,
I disagree.
Now, could I be proven wrong next year? Absolutely. In fact, there's a part of me right now that feels so bad for Cowboy fans that I'm kind of rooting for you next year. And it feels dirty and gross to say that because I have disliked the Cowboys for decades. But now you have become such a running punchline that you're the underdog. And now I feel bad for you.
Well, okay, so here's the problem where I disagree wholeheartedly. One, you cannot say that collapse was entirely McCarthy's fault, and to say so would be ridiculous. Dak played like fucking ass in that playoff game, and he has several times. You cannot put that blame solely on McCarthy. He's not the one throwing the football. So we have to address that right off the bat. That Dak has consistently has the yips in the playoffs. There's no question about it. Now, you could argue that McCarthy's supposed to try to fix him. Well, he's doing the best he fucking can, obviously. Considering the fact the regular season has gone significantly better under him than any other coach they've had with Dak. And while the defense definitely collapsed, and that partly definitely can be blamed on McCarthy or his defensive coordinator, again, prior to that, they looked good. So it's questionable as to was it because they got down behind and they had some type of motivation? Don't know. But the big thing you have to remember is McCarthy has only 1 year left on his deal. So, what actually Jerry Jones is doing is going, hey, I'm not going to extend you. You have your last year to prove me fucking wrong and do this correctly. And if you can't do it, I won't extend you and you'll be gone next year. And why fire you if I'm going to have to pay you and then pay another coach?
Because you don't. So, couple of things, if I may.
Just give him the last run. It makes sense.
Okay, are you good?
I mean, depends on what you say.
All right. Well, no, I don't want to. I have a bad habit of jumping in and interrupting people.
Oh, no, yeah.
And
Depending on what you say, I might have more to say. So.
No, and that's fine. We can discuss this. I like discussion. So, first off, as a head coach, if you see your quarterback is struggling and has the yips, simplify. Simplify the play calls, simplify the game plan, make the throws easier. You can do that. Don't run complex patterns. Simplify it.
Hard make to say it easy. If they did that or not, we don't know.
And we don't know. So
based on what I watched, it was hard to. I saw that they were trying different things, but I don't know. Like obviously, nothing seemed like it was working.
Nothing seemed to click exactly. So you got to figure out what's going on and what your quarterback is seeing, and then simplify so that he sees what you need him to see. Now, I don't know what happened with the defensive schemes, and I have no idea why you got roasted so bad. Frankly, if it's me, I don't know why Micah Parsons isn't hands down in the dirt every play and rushing the out of the quarterback. He should be coming off the edge like a freight train. And I still think they drop him into coverage too much. But that's just, again, that's a personal thing. Now, Here's what I'll say as to why I think you would get rid of him this year. And it's because there are actually really good coaches available. Who knows who's going to be available next year? Yeah. But you're playing, at this point, you're either playing and thinking that you can find somebody better than McCarthy, that the defense improves, and that maybe Dan Quinn is the answer. But right now, you also had, you did have Vrabel is available, and you could have gone after Harbaugh. Although I don't know how that would have worked between
that would not
Jones.
Have worked out.
I don't think that would have worked at all. But the potential is there. You also had, Belichick was available, maybe still is. There are a number of coaches and people that are available that I think are better than McCarthy and what you have. Now, does this mean I think McCarthy is an absolutely horrible, shitty coach and should never coach? No. The problem that I think that I have is that you have been bounced, despite being the favorite, you have been bounced like 4 out of the last 5 years in the first round. And then there was like a year you didn't make it, I think. And it's been abysmal. You can't even say that you were favorites, you should have done better, and then you didn't. It's like if you look at Dak's record, he's not much better than Tony Romo in terms of playoff wins. And that's gotten coaches fired in Dallas before. And I get that Jerry's a loyal guy. I think there was enough talent on the coaching market this year that I think the reason I put him here is I think he's going to regret hanging on to McCarthy for this upcoming season. I think they're going to do another thing where they're like 12 or 13 wins, and they're going to get bounced in the first round again.
I just think that Jerry just doesn't want to pay another coach and try to pay McCarthy's last year.
Oh,
Because in fact, we always know that the last year's always when they get where they get paid the
I
most,
think
right?
I can understand that, but at the same time, I
And
think if you're
and
looking for
then
a
I
championship, you got to pay the
and
money.
and we also have to remember that before the decision was made, Jerry and McCarthy have their sit down at the end of the year and talk about what's the game plan next year. So it's very possible that McCarthy said the right things and said, "Hey, I can make this work still. We can make this figure this out. Don't extend me. Give me this last year on my contract, and then we'll figure it out from there," kind of thing.
You know what?
And I
That's entirely
honestly,
possible, and so I will give you that. But I'm still putting him in there,
and
not because I dislike him, but I just feel like for next season.
and I honestly believe that Jerry Jones is giving this entire team basically one more year. And I think if it doesn't work out, he's going to blow it the fuck up next year.
I would
I
agree
really do.
with that too.
And
Like,
I don't mean like just coach. I mean QB. I mean the secondary. I mean the front line. I think he'll just go into a full fucking reset because obviously what they have isn't working.
yeah, and I can agree with that actually.
So,
I could see them blowing the whole thing up and starting from scratch.
yep.
So,
So
I
that's
mean, I
kind of
think
my
there's a
take on
few
that.
pieces you keep. Like, I would keep CD.
Depending on how things go, you might end up having to move off of that too. But yeah,
But there's a few pieces on the O line. I think you would want to keep Parsons.
potentially.
Um, there's one or two pieces on the back end in the secondary that I might want to keep. But outside of that, everything must go. There's going to be a couple of guys who are nailed down, like you should keep them.
Yeah.
But everybody else, they're open for business, baby.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I'm not a Dak hater by any means, but I think he truly seems to have some really weird problems in the playoffs. Like it, I don't know why. I don't know if the pressure gets to him. I don't know if something happens to him in the playoffs. I don't know if he made a deal with the devil where he's just really good during the regular season and he just can't do shit in the off season. I don't know. But if he does it again, I think there's no question you have to move on from Dak. Like you can't keep having a QB who throws up great numbers in the regular season and then looks like that in the playoffs. Like you
And
just
and
you
you
can't.
know that reminds me of Tony Romo. And
Yeah.
the problem is, it hasn't been just one quarterback that's happened to.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
It's Dak now. It was Tony. Before that, it was Quincy Carter. That's
Yeah.
stretching back a little ways.
That's pretty far back, but yeah.
The last guy that really won in the playoffs for Dallas was Troy frickin' Aikman.
Troy Aikman, yeah.
So that's kind of the problem that you're having right now is, you know, I don't know what it is. If it were just Dak, I'd say, okay, yeah, Dak's the problem, gotta go. But it's been generational since then. It's almost like Aikman cursed the franchise to have this problem because of what happened with
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson.
I don't know. All I'm saying is that I get that it's possible. Is it? Listen, after seeing what the Packers have done, I think it's entirely possible that they just happen to get two really good guys that are really good in regular season and just shit the bed in the playoffs. It's very possible because if you were to tell me that the Packers were going to have three generational QBs or potentially generational QBs in a row, I would laugh in your fucking face. And yet, we're talking about that potentially being an actual thing,
Yeah,
and
100%.
that's fucking
That
upsetting in
that
a lot of
fucking
different
upsets
ways.
me.
Yeah, that's upsetting in a lot
But
of different
that's
ways.
just my feeling on Jerry Jones and everything, and we'll see if
Yeah.
I'm right. I could be wrong. It's just the other problem I had. I'll be honest. I had no idea who I was going to put in for.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so your last one, or no, your
I haven't even
second
done
one.
my second one.
Your second
We
one.
had a long conversation on that one.
We did.
All right. Texans offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator are in my first circle. Because most of the season they've done pretty good. But like they collapsed in this game and it looked like they were just so unprepared for the Ravens in every single way. Like the offense couldn't figure out anything. The defense finally just got shellacked by Lamar and the running offense, which like How do you not know that's going to happen? The amount of times I saw no QB spies on Lamar and went, "Oh, he's just going to run it." I don't know what the fuck the defensive coordinator was thinking there.
Well, and I'm gonna be honest, the Texans this game looked like, "Hi, we're glad to be here.
Yeah, exactly.
We shouldn't be here. We're just glad we've made it this far."
Yeah, like I said, they looked so unprepared. And they had a whole week to prepare, and so I don't know what the fuck they did for the whole week. Outside of, did they just celebrate the fact they got there?
Maybe they had a pizza party.
That's kind of what it felt like. And so because of that, they're going to be in my first circle because, frankly, it looked almost borderline unprofessional from what I was watching.
Had a pizza party at Pizza Hut and handed out those plastic trophies you used to get in Little League.
Oh god, the colored cups and everything. Too.
Yes, with the little ribbons on them.
Yeah, fucking hell, dude.
Oh Jesus.
But yeah, so it was just. Like I said, it looked almost unprofessional. Like, anybody with half a brain would be like, yeah, you have to put at least one QB spy on Lamar, otherwise he's going to run it every fucking time. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I get that you wanted to have the secondary be able to cover the Zay Flowers and Odell and all that, but, you can't just let Lamar do whatever the fuck he wants running the ball either, so.
Yeah. All right, my final one. Packers defensive coordinator Joe Barry.
Joe Barry, yeah.
Welcome to the 7th Circle, good sir. You deserve to be here. You should not have a job next season. You probably will, but you shouldn't.
So many collapses from that guy.
Oh my god, yes.
So many times.
Yes. And that final drive where the Niners scored, absolute collapse by his defense.
Oh, 100%.
Absolute.
Got nothing else to say on that? Just fuck this guy?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And for my final one, Sean McDermott. You're in my 4th circle.
I thought about him. I did.
I feel bad because, you've made playoffs. You're still good, but, you somehow can't get over the hump that is the Chiefs, no matter how hard you fucking try. And you've had some weird offensive issues. You have some weird defensive issues at times. And I have questions if you can pull this team that's got great pieces and finally make that push for that Super Bowl that everybody wants, right? I'm wondering if maybe you just can't quite do it. I don't know. Should you have a job next year? I don't know. I think I could see the Bills moving on from you if they think they can get one of the other guys, but at the same time, if they can't, they don't want to be left out in the cold with a blanco QB or a blanco coach that no one knows, So, I don't know. I'm kind of in the weird space of you've consistently done well enough. Is that enough to fire you, though? I don't think so, but questions are going to start being asked, and your leash is going to get real fucking tight.
Vrabel would be fun to go there.
Maybe. Do they want another defensive coordinator as a coach, though? Maybe they want to go for an offensive guy? You know what would be really fun to go to the Bills? Harbaugh.
I was going to say Belichick. That would just be...
That would just be a slap in the face to the Patriots.
Exactly.
They can't do that. Harbaugh would be fun, though.
Oh, Lord. All right. Nothing else for that one?
Nah, I'm good.
Ready for some hot potatoes?
Yeah.
All right, throw me a potato.
Maybe Sean McDermott will lose his job?
Man, I don't
Speaking of Sean McDermott.
I don't think so. I'm going to pass that potato for right now.
That's fair.
I don't think it's all his fault. I think there are some inconsistencies there. I think certain players he was relying on just failed. And I think some of them will get replaced. If you want to talk about somebody who might not be a Bill next season, I think we should bring up Diggs. But
I think he still has a contract, though.
Yeah,
unless they trade him.
That's what I'm thinking they're going to try to do.
Oh, okay.
At this point, I don't think he's a top tier wide receiver anymore, and I still think he thinks he is.
Well, I don't know. He hasn't. The funny thing is, he hasn't had any like major outbursts or even like stuff with the media like you normally see from him. So I'm wondering if maybe he's having just like I wonder if he's coming to the realization that something's not fucking right to himself because he's
Yeah,
just like I
and
don't
we'll
even know
see.
what
We'll
to.
see over the next couple of days if anything happens.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe, speaking of the Bills, maybe the Bills will never win a Super Bowl in the Josh Allen era?
Oof. I mean,
I mean,
that's
look
it's
at how
hard
look at
to
the other QBs in the AFC right now.
that's hard to say for sure. He's definitely a top three AFC. Like I don't think there's any question Josh Allen's top three AFC QB.
You think so?
Um, I legitimately, you gonna tell me three more names that are above him?
Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, uh, Lamar Jackson.
See, I would put Joe Burrow technically under Josh Allen. Just like Josh Allen, I think athletically is better than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, I think, has the smarts, and so it's like they're kind of right next to each other there in my mind. Like they're like interchangeably 3 and 4, but that's about it. And I just think that he's and Lamar is depends on if he's got the team around him. Like obviously this year he does, and we've seen past years where like things just didn't look good for Lamar. So hard to say 100% consistently. But I would say Josh Allen consistently has been top three or close to top three if he isn't. Um, so will he never win a Super Bowl? I would be shocked if Josh Allen doesn't find a way to win a Super Bowl. Now, as far as will it be with the Bills, that I don't know.
See,
Um,
that was my contention. I
I
think he
know,
can go
yeah.
to a Super Bowl, but I think he needs to get away from the Bills and out of the AFC.
I think he can still do it within the AFC, but it's one of those things looking at it where like the Bills absolutely should have a chance to win a Super Bowl. They have they have the team for it. It's going to come down to what happens with the coaching and everything. I honestly believe that I'm not going to eat it because I think that there is legitimate belief that the Bills can win a Super Bowl with this team. If they don't do it within the next 2 years, though, man, that's going to look rough. So I don't know. I'm kind of on a 50-50, but I'm not too. I'm not. I'm not really believer in that he's going to not win a Super Bowl yet. I'm still kind of in the place where they should, and they have good opportunities to do so. So I'm not quite down and out of it quite yet, but man,
All right. What's your next
that's
one
tough.
for me?
That's tough. Uh, maybe the 49ers look really vulnerable right now.
I'll eat that one. I've actually got one that'll dovetail into that quite nicely here in a minute. But yeah, no, they do. Something is not 100% there, and I don't know what it is, but yeah, no, they look. If you have, and I think I said this, if you have a game like that they played against Green Bay against Detroit, they're not going to come back and win that. I think Detroit is a better football team than the Packers are right now. The Packers played extremely well, but if you throw that kind of a crap game against a more experienced quarterback with a better defensive coordinator and a better defensive line, you're not coming back from it. I think Detroit runs the score up and beats you. So you're going to have to be very careful. You know? 100% I agree with that.
Fair enough.
Maybe, just maybe, Brock Purdy is only an average QB at best.
We've talked about this before and how people have been like, is he overhyped because the team's really good around him? I don't think so. I think he makes the right decisions at the right time. And that takes a high level QB or a high level intelligent QB to do so. I would say he's average athletically speaking, as far as moving and even his arm throwing power. I think his arm is pretty decent, but I think it's still fairly average amongst most QBs. I think he just has a higher intelligence than others, so he typically makes the right decisions. Typically is what obviously we have to caveat that because he doesn't always make the right decisions. He's a I would say he's like Joe Burrow, but a little less athletic than even Joe Burrow, right? Like, he's got the right mind. He typically makes good decisions. Doesn't have a crazy arm, and doesn't have crazy speed, but enough to move in and out of the pocket, and he can throw on the run a bit. So I don't think he's average. I think he's above average, and it's mostly due to that football IQ, so to speak. Hey, don't be screaming. Um, but that's just my take on it. I think he's actually pretty decent, pretty good. Would he have this much success on other teams? Probably not. Depending on the team, of course. There would be some teams he would probably have a lot worse time with than others. But I think he's definitely above average. So.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
And of course we got to remember that last game. Like, obviously when it's raining, it's hard for everybody to be throwing the ball. So
Glove on, glove off. Glove on,
like,
glove off.
Yeah, every QB has issues with that, so there's not much you can do about that. If it's snowing or raining. Okay, so for my last one, this should be a kind of a give me. I feel like you're gonna agree with this one, but we'll shoot it out of here anyways. Maybe Lamar Jackson is the MVP.
I actually had that on my list, so I'm not going to disagree with it at all. In fact, my thing says Purdy and Tua are made a lot better by the players that are surrounding them. But Lamar tends to make everybody else look better because he can move and roll, so he should be the MVP. And so, yeah, I'll eat that fully loaded. Lamar is, when he is on, there's nobody better.
Yeah.
The thing is, he has to be on. And sometimes
he has been for this entire season.
Yes,
so far.
This season he's really put his all into it. Like, I got hurt last year, and I sat out no contract.
But I got my contract.
Now I got my contract. All right, dudes, let's go.
Yeah, like that's exactly what this felt like.
Yeah, but yeah, no, fully loaded. Eat that. Should take home the MVP trophy. Easy peasy. Like, probably going to the Super Bowl.
Probably.
Whether he wins it, I don't know, but very likely going to the Super Bowl.
I honestly believe that they are probably favorites for the Super Bowl, to be honest with you.
Because their defense is good, their offense is good.
Everything is just cooking.
Yeah, they're cooking right now.
And who's their kicker? Justin motherfucking Tucker. Like, he ain't gonna fucking miss anything.
No! Tucker doesn't miss things. All right. I don't know if you'll agree with this one. Maybe. The Vikings should abandon this idea of a competitive rebuild, empty out, and just start over.
It's easy in hindsight to look at that and go, that's what they should have done. But let's be honest.
No, I think they should do it this upcoming season, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
This offseason, empty it all out, start over.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you need to. If we can get two options, obviously, very much available. If you can get Kirk Cousins to come back, absolutely no need to do that. If you can get a high enough draft pick or get the QB you want, I don't think you need to do that. If neither one of those comes to fruition, then you have to talk about, okay, maybe we need to start selling off some pieces. Obviously, keep the really good pieces. You're still not moving off of JJ, right?
No.
But then sell off a lot of the other more valuable pieces that you're not probably going to be able to stick around for to get a playoff win or anything with anymore. But I think if you get Kirk Cousins or that high draft pick, I don't think you sell anything off. I think you roll with what you got. But if those two options don't happen, then yes, probably start looking at selling pieces.
Fair enough. It's just something that like for this next offseason, I was like, we've got a lot of free agents. Fuck it, let them walk, trade off a bunch of our pieces, and let's just rebuild. Let's stop this competitive rebuild nonsense. Let Kirk go. Let's build again from the ground up. Get a new QB. Know that we're gonna suck for a couple of years. Sell everything off and just start again.
I think if you get Kirk Cousins back, you don't do that, and that's if you can get him. Obviously, and when I say get him back, like I don't mean throw the fucking bag at him, but like if you can get him on a good deal, bring him back. If you can't, and you're gonna move up in the draft to get like a Caleb Williams or to try and get I don't know, maybe Bo Nix or McCarthy or Penix Jr. Like, you do that, right? You totally move up and you get one of those guys, and I don't think you need to then sell off pieces because those guys are damn near all NFL ready start from the looks of it, in my opinion. Penix Jr. maybe not. Maybe he needs some time to sit, but like, I think Bo Nix, McCarthy, and Caleb Williams are damn near NFL ready start.
Drake
But
May.
that's just from what I've. Drake May even. Yeah, I always forget Drake May. I don't know why. Also the same.
Because he's got a boring ass name.
He does. But I think all of those guys are pretty much ready to go.
I'm going to make you hurt your brain.
Why?
Maybe he'll be good?
It'd been funny if you would have won and maybe be good. Because then that would have been really hard to say. Maybe be good.
Maybe be good. But maybe bad.
Right? It's hard to say, isn't it? So it's a tongue twister a bit.
I don't have lips.
I mean, he's probably going to be pretty decent. Maybe not right off the rip, but I think he's got very high potential, put it that way. Same thing with Caleb Williams, right? Like, Caleb Williams is not a generational talent like so many people want to say he is, but he's definitely really good. Like,
we'll see. He could be generational, though. I would not put him...
He hasn't been generational in college. Like, he had the really good season, and this last season was just pretty good. Not as good as it should have been, based on what everyone was trying to tout him to be.
I get that.
So,
but it's still, that doesn't always...
So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that translates to NFL, obviously. Like, we'll see. Based on what I've seen from him in the tape that I've watched, I don't think he'll be a generational talent, but he'll definitely be really good.
So,
like, he'll be like a Justin Herbert kind of thing. It's kind of what I'm thinking, right?
I think he'll be better than that. I would put him more in line with like Stroud, probably.
I don't know if he'll have that rookie year, but we'll see.
Oh, he's not going to have that rookie year, but I think his ceiling and Stroud's are going to be very similar.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe. I don't think he's the next Mahomes, which is what everybody's saying he is.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
We have to see how he... No, I don't think so either. We'll have to see how his NFL goes, his debut goes, and just kind of pay attention, because I think he's got high potential, high ceiling. I don't know if he'll be 100%, obviously, right away. Like some people are saying, like he's going to be the greatest thing since sliced fucking bread.
No.
Like, no, I don't think so. But I think he'll be damn good for any team.
Like the last guy that came out that did that kind of thing was like CJ Stroud, obviously, and before that, the guy who was touted, who came out, and everybody knew he was going to be good, was Andrew Luck.
Yeah, Luck. And honestly, I think Justin Herbert had a damn good rookie season too. Let's be honest. Like a lot of people forget about that, but he had a fucking stellar rookie season. Cause in fact, nobody expected anything from him.
Yeah.
So,
all right, ready to talk about next week?
Sure.
2 games. Divisional, the NFL championship rounds. We are talking
championships.
We are talking, the conference round, conference championships. So, AFC Conference. Chiefs at Ravens.
I'm so sick of the fucking Chiefs. I'm just tired of the fucking Chiefs so much. And listen, I get it. Chiefs magic. Whenever the playoffs happen, they just happen to get magical, right? But I'm just so sick of the Chiefs. So, Ravens, please be the Ravens.
I agree that it'll probably be the Ravens. There's just, I don't know how the Chiefs could stop Lamar. Their defense is good enough that I think, there's not enough firepower on KC to overcome what the Ravens are going to do to them.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good game, but I think at the end Lamar is going to drag that Ravens team into victory.
God, I hope so.
And the NFC Championship, Lions at Niners.
So despite what I've talked about already, I'm actually going with the 49ers, and it comes down to the fact that Lions will not be at home, so they won't have home field advantage with all their fans. They'll have to play at the 49ers. And while the 49ers had a tough game, I think that was mostly due to the rain and some of that affecting how they wanted to play. I think if they have good weather, I think the 49ers are going to be really tough to beat, both offensively and defensively. And honestly, I think this is going to end up being like a slugfest. Like, we're going to be 27-24 kind of scoreline. Like, it's going to come down to the last neck. But I think the 49ers have shown throughout the season and the last couple of years that they are very resilient and can overcome a lot of odds, and they don't let and proven by the Packers game, they don't let the fact that they're losing change how they play football. And because of that, and because this is the first time the Lions are in this position, even though their quarterback hasn't been, most of the players haven't been here before, I'm thinking that there's going to be a little bit more jitters. There's going to be a little bit more mistakes that happen. Like I said, it's going to be like the mildest of fractions, right? It's just going to be a couple penalties here and there, a couple bad drops here and there, maybe an interception or two that doesn't happen. And I ultimately think the 49ers will just be able to pick up just enough of those mistakes and overcome the Lions.
I disagree. I will take the Lions. And the reason why I'm going to take the Lions in this one is a couple of things. First off, we've seen before this season where the Niners looked vulnerable. They had a 3-game skid earlier this season. They even lost to us, I believe.
I don't remember.
But they had like a 3 or 4 game skid, and then they hit the bye week and they came out all cylinders firing and they were good again. But yeah, they had a little skid there in the middle of the season where I was a little bit worried about them. And then they didn't play very well against what I consider, now you could say rain's a factor. Yeah, sure, okay, fine.
Well, not only rain was a factor, but Green Bay was playing all cylinders on extra fire, playing well above their weight. And I think the 49ers underestimated them.
And I think we're going to see that well above your weight with the Lions. I think they are going to come into this game fired up. Dan Campbell's going to have them ready to take hunks out of people, bite off kneecaps, and run through a brick wall. Because that's what Dan Campbell does. Dan Campbell plays. He plays hard. Or he gets people to play hard for him. And I think Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, I don't know how much longer he's going to be with you, Detroit, but I think he's going to draw out some good schemes. I think you're going to see a steady diet of Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, that two-headed monster. I think he's going to throw the ball out to the backs and let Gibbs do his thing in space. You're going to see Amon-Ra St. Brown getting open. You're going to see Laporta. They also signed Zach Ertz, who you might see.
I could talk about the defense of fucking 49ers all day long and tell you that none of that's going to happen because that defense is so fucking good.
That defense is very stout. I'm not going to say that it's not going to be a slugfest, but the other side of that is the Detroit defense is really good too. You're going to see some...
Good luck stopping McCaffrey. That's going to be pretty tough.
It might be, but it might not be. They've been doing pretty good at stopping people, usually.
Aaron Jones, hello. Remember when they had that problem?
The point is, in the end, they're going to know what they're coming in to do. If you stop McCaffrey, and you just let that up, don't let him get his, and then you got to start putting pressure. If you pressure Purdy, you can force him to make some mistakes potentially. But the problem is going to be pressuring him, and I think there's going to be...
He's hard to get pressure on.
Yeah.
That O-line's pretty stout.
That O-line is pretty stout. I will say the other side of that is Detroit's O-line is pretty stout. It's going to be a hell of a slugfest. I just think Detroit's playing for more than San Francisco is right now. Detroit is...
I don't know if I necessarily agree because, I understand what you're saying with, the fact that they're hungry. Let's be honest, the 49ers are so fucking hungry they're almost starved because the amount of times they've gotten that fucking close.
Oh, yeah.
And lose.
This is the furthest that the Lions have ever gotten in the playoffs.
I know, but the difference is that the 49ers have tasted it and went, we really want it because we've at least tasted it before. We know what it's like to be there.
Yeah. I get that, and I think this is going to be...
That's what I'm saying. I think they're both going to be hungry.
Out of the two games, this is the one I really want to watch, and I think it's going to be a stellar game. Yeah. And I'm very excited for it.
I just don't think the Lions will be able to match step for step the entire game for the 49ers. I think it'll be I think they will for a while, but I think once that fourth quarter hits, we're going to see who's going to get tired first.
We will, and I think it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right, the last thing that I have, I was going to do a hockey corner, but I couldn't find the stats I was looking for. So I decided against it.
Fair enough.
However, I am going to do a power rankings. And there is a team on here that based on the beginning of their season, I would not have expected to put on this list. Ever. At number 10, it is the Edmonton Oilers. They are now 26-15-1 with 53 points. In their last 10, they are 10-0. In fact, they have currently won 13 games straight. Tonight they play Columbus for number 14. By the way, they've also got they've only played they've played 4 or 5 less games than just about everybody else in hockey right now. They were absolute trash and below San Jose in the standings at one point. They fired their head coach, and that's what I was actually looking for stats. I wanted to see their old Jay Woodcroft. What were their stats? Advanced stats. I wanted to know what their goals against average and their save percentage and how many goals for, and I wanted to see all of that under Woodcroft, and then I wanted to see it all under the new coach, Knobloch, which, by the way, he is Connor McDavid's junior coach. And then all of a sudden, they've been on a heater, man. It's hard to say that Edmonton is not on a heater. They are, and now they're apparently going to sign Corey Perry. So they are absolutely on a heater this year. The team that I almost dropped out for the team that did drop out, but I couldn't justify it yet. Number 9, the Rangers. 29-15-2, 60 points, last 10, 4-5-1. Sadly, Philadelphia is the one who dropped. I couldn't justify dropping the 60-point Rangers out because they did start winning again. They won a game the other night. Philadelphia's dropped 2 in a row. So I kind of had to flip it. But if the Rangers go on another skid and they don't start improving, they are going to find themselves on the outside looking in. Number 8, the Vegas Golden Knights, 27-14-6, 60 points. Last 10, 5-4-1. I get it. They don't have Eichel right now. Other pieces are hurt. I think the Golden Knights are just skating to the playoffs at this point. Number 7, the Dallas Stars, 27-13-6, 60 points. Last 10, 5-3-2. I don't know if Ottinger is back yet, but I know that's what they're waiting on. Number 6, the Florida Panthers, 28-14-4, 60 points. Last 10, 6-2-2. For what you did to Marc-Andre Fleury, Panthers, I will give you a round and hearty fuck you. In case you missed it, one of the Panthers players collided with Fleury when he was outside the net zone. He did get injured. He is on IR now. Number 5, the Carolina Hurricanes, 25-15-5, 55 points. Last 10, 7-2-1. Yeah, the Hurricanes are coming for everybody right now. They are on fire. I wouldn't want to face them right now. I think they look really good. Number 4, the Colorado Avalanche, 13-4-3, 63 points. Last 10, 7-3-0. Are we sick of these guys yet?
Yes.
I agree. Number 3, the Boston Bruins, 29-8-9, 67 points. Last 10, 6-1-3. If we're sick of Colorado, we're even sicker of these guys. Can you go away finally, please? Give somebody else a shot. Number 2, the Winnipeg Jets, 30-11-4, 64 points. Last 10, 8-2-0. Still doing Jets things. You guys are one of the best teams in hockey right now. And you would be again this week if it weren't for the Vancouver Canucks at number 1, 32-11-4, 68 points. Last 10, 8-1-1. Again, Vancouver is a fucking wagon this year. I would not be surprised to see a Western Conference final that is Winnipeg-Vancouver. However, Edmonton is threatening to spoil that. They are coming in strong. Um, it's gonna be a great finish, I think, out west. Out east, it's pretty decided. It's there's a couple of teams that Florida, Boston, um, Carolina. Anyway, those are my NHL power rankings. How are you doing on Sekiro?
Well, you already know that answer. I finished that
Yes, you
last
did.
week.
I did, but our audience doesn't know that yet.
If anyone even gets to this point. What audience? What are you talking about? Yeah, I finished that last week. Started up Wulong Fallen Dynasty on Thursday, I think it was.
I believe so.
And then we had our Friend Friday stream on Friday, obviously.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so yeah, I've been just cutting up and editing and uploading. Obviously, I've uploaded a video today. The second one will be going up after we're done streaming this, or I guess recording this because we're not streaming it. Recording this, not streaming. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm high. I'm not actually, but that's okay. Um,
I wish I
so
was.
my second, so my next recording for the day will be going up soon, or at least starting to be uploaded. It probably won't be uploaded until 7, 8 o'clock because it typically takes about 2 hours or so to upload. So I'll start that. Then I have to do the editing for the stuff that'll go up tomorrow, because I'm not going to be. So, in case you haven't noticed, didn't stream yesterday. I'm obviously not streaming today because today we do our recording. And I'm not streaming tomorrow either because I'm going to be busy tomorrow. I won't be home for part of the day, so I'm not streaming tomorrow. So I will be streaming probably again on Thursday, depending on how tomorrow goes. If things go well tomorrow, I might have to start readjusting my streaming times. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. So, but the content will still continue flowing. I'll still be uploading. Dude, really? Fridays will hopefully stay the same. There's a chance that we'll have to kind of discuss moving things around and just uploading on Friday. We'll see how that goes. But hopefully that stays exactly the same. It should be the same this week again, unless something happens tomorrow that dictates that needs to change. Fridays will likely still, or late Fridays will still probably be when we stream Friend Fridays. So that hopefully won't change. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. um, so yeah, only just started Wulong. Haven't gotten that far in it. I don't know how big the game is. I don't know how long the game is. Um, I'm guessing it's going to be probably a 40-hour game if I'm going to assume anything. So I have a lot of that to still go. What I play after that, I have no idea. We'll see kind of when I finish Wulong, because I don't think I'm probably going to do a new game plus with it. Because I don't. Honestly, there could be multiple endings. I don't know, but I don't think there is. This doesn't feel like the way I've been so far, anyways. The way I've been playing it, it seems to be very linear. There doesn't seem to be like not that the world's linear, but like the story has been fairly linear.
And it could be a Dark Souls type of thing where, because at the end
Yeah.
you had that, do you ignite the fire or let it go out?
Exactly. And so like if there's a different thing at the very end, maybe we'll see how things go, but I don't know if this is going to be a game that I'm going to do a new game plus on, because I don't even think this is going to be a game I'm probably going to do like a full-blown review of either. I'm enjoying my time with it, but I wouldn't say the story is all that captivating at this point in time. Like, it's history, it's interesting, but is it like something where I want to like do a video review on? Probably not. Because I'm doing one on Liza P. I might actually do one on Sekiro because it's interesting enough where I have some thoughts and things I do want to discuss about it. So maybe I will do, like, I was debating if I was going to do one for Sekiro, but I probably will. It'll be definitely shorter than my Liza P one because my Liza P one is going to take a while. So my Sekiro review will have to wait until after that probably. Considering the fact I haven't even finished the entire game yet. I still have 2 endings of Sekiro to still play through at some point. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, not much to update there. We're still doing BG3 on Friend Fridays, and that's gonna be a thing for quite a while, I suspect.
Yeah, should be. It's we've gotten a lot further. We have cleansed the Goblin Camp,
Yep.
and we have had the party, and now we are getting ready to decide where we're going next.
Oh yeah, if we're gonna go underground and try to take some
And
tunnels
I like I
underground,
told
or if
you,
we're gonna
you can
take the
actually go both ways.
both ways, yeah.
Yeah,
Which we'll
and
probably end up doing.
yeah, there's totally a reason for it.
Yeah.
And it's still really fun either way. So.
Yeah. And so we'll probably be starting that, at least that journey, anyways, on Friday at 7 o'clock Central Time. 7 p.m. Central. I should specify that's p.m., not a.m. obviously, because we're not. We don't wake up that early.
I do a little bit, but
I certainly don't. And though that again might change depending on how tomorrow goes.
good luck.
So we'll see how everything plays out and kind of go from there. But yeah, not any crazy updates out of I've finished New Game Plus. I'm been uploading it. It didn't take me nearly as long to get through New Game Plus. 4 streams and comparatively to 7 streams, so almost half the amount of time to get through it the second time. Obviously, having knowledge of what
Where
to
you're
do,
going
where
and
to
what you're
go
doing and how to
everything.
beat things.
Yeah, significantly reduces the amount of time. It was just like Liza P. Like my first playthrough that I showed at least on stream took significantly longer, mostly because I was also doing all of the lore stuff and reading all of the lore stuff. But the second playthrough that I did of New Game Plus, where I just was able to skip through pretty much all the dialogue and all the lore and didn't have to read everything, man, it took so much less time to get through that game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of where that's at.
Alrighty then. Well, we don't have much else for you guys right now. We hope that all of you have enjoyed your time watching this, if you've made it this far, and let's be honest, we don't think any of you have. However, if you did make it this far, then we would say to you, we hope that whatever you put your mind to for the rest of the week, that you accomplish and get there, and if not, just keep at it. You'll get there eventually. We would wish you nothing but the best. We hope that you all stay bearded,